Hello, everybody. Welcome to yet another episode of Health Discourse with Sakshi and Sushant. So, Sushant, good morning and welcome to this exciting episode. And today
Good.
we will be discussing about exercise performance. So, first
Good morning.
question, which everybody wants to understand, that how scientific is the basis of this term exercise performance and how does it impacts our body?
Okay, first of all, good morning, and uh, this is an exciting discussion, especially in the morning when people go for exercise, and it's really important to understand, how do we improve our exercise performance? How do we make sure that we are pumping more muscles from basically from a fitness perspective, right? Per unit of oxygen, there are multiple things at play, right? So we have seen there are multiple supplements people take, such as creatinine, and we've seen black coffee people taking before the workout, or probably beta-alanine, and there are a lot of these stuff. And again, another thing which has come up, and I think that is being subscribed by a lot of fitness trainers also, is nitric oxide supplements, and most of the trainers would recommend L-Arginine or L-Citrulline, right? L-Citrulline. So let us understand. There's a scientific basis of how our uh, physiology, fine-tuning of our physiology can impact our exercise performance, right? And I would tell you, here we'll be discussing about the role of nitric oxide, right? So nitric oxide, we all know, or probably you do not know, for all the listeners, it a very is a gas produced inside our body. It's a gaseous molecule, right? And it's disappears within some certain milliseconds, right? So essentially, it has to be produced constantly because it has multiple beneficial factor, right? It is a vasodilator. It helps in regulating your blood pressure. It improves your blood flow. It improves your oxygen delivery, right? So in this regard, it helps in insulin signaling as well. So in this regard, it virtually take part in every single cellular health and overall health, right from your metabolic health, insulin signaling, right from our regulating the blood pressure. So it reduces the risk of hypertension and cardiovascular disease. It increases the cardiovascular benefits of exercise. Uh, People who are deficient of nitric oxide have a high risk of infertility issues, erectile dysfunction in male, dementia, right, brain issues. So nitric oxide is really important, right? And from exercise performance perspective, right, uh, since it is a vasodilator, it increases the blood flow, right? So it improves the aerobic and anaerobic metabolism, right? It reduces the oxygen and ATP delivery cost of exercise. So probably you when you have nitric oxide, probably I'll share this as it's going to discuss, right? That nitric oxide, unlike a lot of people think, can also be produced without oxygen. So it improves your training volume, right? It improves your mitochondrial respiration efficiency, right? So there are multiple factors at play. Specifically, the nitric oxide mediated blood flow, right? Uh, it can actually, augment mechanisms for skeletal muscle performance, hypertrophy, and strength adaptation. So there's a huge role of nitric oxide to play. Right. Secondly, when we are exercising, so the strength exercise, the improved vasodilation through nitric oxide, right, can improve the oxygen and nutrient delivery to the working muscle tissue, right? It can replenish ATP, and it can actually, uh, also improve your muscle contracting properties, right? So there's low fatigue, higher training volume. So there are multiple, uh, benefits of nitric oxide, right? And again, so where does this nitric oxide comes from, right? Let us discuss this, and where a lot of people would go wrong, right? So again, there are two pathways where we, our body produces nitric oxide. One is, we know, is through endothelial cells. Every blood vessels, every tissue have endothelial cell, and it is coupled with what we call as ENOS, endothelial nitric oxide synthase, right? So our body, uh, so L-arginine, right, is a semi-essential amino acid which our body also produces. We can also ingest from the diet, right? So this L-arginine is converted, is this NOS, nitrogen synthase, combined with oxygen, convert into nitric oxide and L-citrulline, right? So again, in the presence of oxygen, nitric oxide can be oxidized to nitrate, and again, nitrate is something which is actually stored in our skeletal muscle, which is used by. So when we are exercising, nitrate is decreased and it is converted to nitrite, right? And again, uh, nitrite through a single electron reduction converts to nitric oxide, right? Again, it's an entire cycle starting from nitric oxide, right? It converts into nitrate, into nitrite when we exercise into nitric oxide. So nitric oxide, as I shared, has a lot of beneficial effects from improving the exercise performance, right? So that is one way. So if you see, our skeletal muscle is a reservoir for nitrate, right? So nitrate is produced indigenously, probably inside the body, and we also take from external sources, right? Like green leafy vegetables, beetroot, right? All the lettuce, spinach, a lot of these have nitrate, right? So this is one of the pathways where L-arginine is again converted into L-citrulline plus nitric oxide, right? In the presence of oxygen, which again nitric oxide can be oxidized into nitrate, and nitrate can be stored in the muscles. Muscles when you work out, when you work out, so nitrate is converted into nitrite. Nitrate is reduced, it is converted to nitrite. Nitrite gets converted to nitric oxide, and nitric oxide promotes your blood. So that is one way to look at it, right? Uh, Again, here it is important to understand that people who take L-arginine as a supplement and accepts L-arginine supplementation, right? In the view of improving your exercise performance, right? This is this has a flip side, right? Because when you consume a lot of L-arginine, it leads to overexpression of certain enzyme called arginase, right? Which competes with NOS for L-arginine. So essentially, L-arginine is diverted and is not put to use for the production of nitric oxide, right? So it actually turns into production of ammonia. Ammonia has neurotoxin impact, right? Beside excess algerides can be converted to superoxide by NOS, right, which has an oxidative stress which impact your heart health, right? So you don't need to take too much of L-arginine, right? Your cellular processes should be fine-tuned to use L-arginine produced inside the body because it is semi-essential amino acids. You can take L-arginine, but not in excess amounts, right? And that can be converted through this cellular process of into nitric oxide. But as we age, our body's ability to produce, or endothelial cells' ability to produce nitric oxide goes down, right? So by the time we reaches the age of 50, it is reduced by 50%, right? So then here comes the second pathway, right? Which is your nitrate, nitrite, NO pathway, which is again the role of oral microbiome. So if you have any questions here, I can answer.
So I think another interesting question here would be that is anywhere gut microbiome's role is important for exercise performance and even in the production of nitric oxide that you have just mentioned. And also why this thing is often overlooked.
Okay, so gut microbiome have an indirect role because it directly do not produce nitric oxide. But if if your gut microbiome is imbalanced, you are facing a lot of chronic inflammation, right? There's a lot of oxidative stress, probably because of production of certain harmful metabolites such as picosol and endoxyl sulfate, which causes oxidative stress. So probably it could uncouple nitric synthase from uncoupling of nitric synthase from the endothelial cell, which leads to nitric oxide deficiency or impairment of production of nitric oxide. So That is how the gut microbiome directly can impact your exercise performance. On the flip side, if you exercise well, probably if you're thinking that you exercise, you'll build muscles and you'll have a lot of protein and you'll have a rock solid body. Exercise uh, how does exercise impact your body, your health? It is not about these are end results, improve of your blood sugar level, mitochondrial efficiency, and a lot of these things. But it is done through it improves your gut microbiome diversity, right? So gut microbiome diversity, it helps you in production of a lot of short chain fatty acids, right? Which is beneficial, which regulates your blood sugar level, so it regulates your satiety. So there is a important role of gut microbiome which nobody actually considers, but it is important because 99% of biology is microbial, right? So essentially, if your gut microbiome is not fixed, right? So probably you may not have that benefits from exercise, and if you have an oral microbiome, so again, oral microbiome is really really important, which has not been studied much and which has been ignored by a lot of people, right? But again, as I was mentioning about nitrite oxide pathway. So when we ingest green vegetables, right? Uh, a lot of it is absorbed in the small intestine, in the bloodstream, right? 25% of it goes back to saliva, where saliva in our mouth converts, uh, nitrate into nitrite, right? This nitrite actually in a low acidic environment actually mixes with stomach acid and converts in nitric oxide, right? A part of it also gets stored in various tissues such as skeletal muscle, where it is again converted to nitric oxide, which I explained, right? How through the single electron reduction, it can gets converted into nitrite, gets converted to nitric oxide. Again, it has a beneficial impact. So this pathway is really, really beneficial because this pathway would actually, as we age, this has an enabler role in production of nitric oxide, right? So we need to fix our oral microbiome. We need to have a regular oral microbiome. We need to feed with a lot of polyphenols and prebiotics, understanding what sort of microbes are there in our mouth, what they are doing, what genes they are expressing, what metabolites they are producing, right? There are multiple things we have to consider. Nitric oxide, there are two pathways, right? You don't need to take too much L-Arginine, right? It may have a flip side. It may lead to production of ammonia or it may cause oxidative stress, right? If you've got microbiome imbalance, probably your body will not produce nitric oxide, so it would not give you an benefits of exercise, right? On the flip side, if you exercise well and if you're eating the right nutrition choices, feeding the right set of molecules to your microbiome, so probably it would improve your gut microbiome diversity, right? Oral microbiome again, if your body is not producing nitric oxide, you will lose the cardioprotective benefits of exercise. Oral microbiome has a role to play in terms of converting nitrite into nitric oxide, and nitric oxide improves the blood flow, improve your mitochondrial efficiency, improve the oxygen nutrient delivery to your working muscle tissue. It increases your ATP replacement between the exercise between the sets, and it also improves the muscle contractibility, right? So there are the nitric oxide has to be understood. You don't need to just go and pick up your nitric oxide supplement or L-Arginine to just think, okay, I'll take NO and I'll have, blast in my exercise. That doesn't work that way. So the nitric, there's a molecular mechanism in place which makes sure the nitric oxide is there. Nitrate reservoirs are there in your skeletal muscle, right? If it is depleting because of exercise, you need to have a lot of green vegetables, so which can further replenish the nitrate again. When nitrate is there, it gets converted to nitrite and nitrate gets converted to nitric oxide, right? And again, this is the basic science behind it. Yeah.
So, what will be your recommendation to somebody who wants to improve their exercise performance, right? Because obviously, as we have heard, that supplements are not really the right way. It's not really the right approach. So, what should be
Hmm.
the right approach for people who want to improve their exercise performance?
So, although you take protein because protein is required for muscle growth, after you work out, your muscle tissues are broken and then protein. But taking too much of excess protein is really, really harmful. We have discussed this in our earlier talks that it can trigger inflammation, it can trigger autoimmune issues. But having a balanced diet, having a right set of food substrate which can stimulate nitric oxide production, having food which regulates your oral microbiome and gut microbiome, understanding your oral gut microbiome because it's 95% is unique. Only you share only 5%. So essentially, do not go fall for any recommendation given by your trainers or your coaches or any nutritionists. So understand your unique biology, understand these 99% of biology, what these microbes are doing, and unless you don't do that, probably, you may end up just having guesswork, right? So again, even having green vegetables does not always mean that you will have, you will have nitric oxide probably because if you're if you experience, for instance, you know, acid reflux, okay, and you're taking a lot of antacids, right, or your PPIs, you're having a lot of this statins and PPIs, right? So essentially, it would interrupt with the nitric oxide production, right? So if you are on cardiovascular medications, or if you have an acid reflux, probably, again, it is linked to, sometimes high protein production because methane gas slows down your food motility. It creates a situation of acid reflux. Probably we can discuss that later in detail. Yeah, but that's how your PPIs and antacids can lead to, deficient nitric oxide production, which can impact your overall bodily functions, right? So that is really, really important to understand, right?
I think this was a pretty interesting discussion here. So let us conclude this discussion with a few words for all those who want to improve their exercise performance.
Yeah, yeah. First of all is do not over exercise. 90 minutes, 40, 60 to 90, 60 to 75 to 90 minutes should be enough, right? Do not think of consuming too much protein, just a way of, reducing your weight, or, thinking you build muscles, right? Obviously, when you eat too much protein, you will have muscle growth, but you will also have side effects in terms of various inflammatory impact, right? uh, Understand your unique biology, understand your oral gut microbiome, make sure that you're eating right food so that it stimulates the production of nitric oxide. Uh,
Hmm. These are some really important things that you've told us, and with this, we conclude this discussion here. So, thank you, Sushant, so much for all this knowledge that you have shared with us today. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye bye.